February is America's Heart Month. See what this initiative aims to teach.
The current protection status for Haitian immigrants expires today. What we know about the protections that have allowed roughly 350,000 Haitians to live in the U.S.
U.S. House Democrats leaders rallied outside of the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters demanding change. We have the details as KSTV starts right now.
This is Kent Stater TV.
And welcome back to Kent Stater TV News. I'm Sydney Brown.
And I'm Sophia Lena. Thank you for joining us on your Tuesday evening. We start today as the Red Month also begins.
That's right. And here in studio for the February American Heart Month and KSTV's very own Tatum Lawrence talked to the American Heart Association to understand more.
Hi Tatum, what can you tell us?
Hi guys, while the candy hearts may be at the top of your list this February, it's also a month that recognizes our actual hearts and their health.
February is National Heart Month, a time dedicated to fighting cardiovascular disease in the United States and finding ways to combat and prevent it.
Heart disease can affect everybody. It does not have a limit on age, it does not have a limit on sex, gender, it does not discriminate. So actually, heart disease is the #1 killer of women nationwide. So that is one thing that a lot of people don't know.
According to the American Heart Association, there is a rise in the prevalence of heart disease in young adults, though many of them assume that they are not at risk because of their age.
College students really struggle with finding primary care physicians because sometimes they're on campus, sometimes maybe they're an out-of-state student. I would say wherever you are, establish that primary care physician and get regular checkups because, like I said, a lot of people don't know that it affects them when it truly does.
However, there are several ways to help lessen the risk of developing cardiovascular disease.
Getting in touch with a cardiologist if you need, and just making sure that you are eating healthy, following dietary guidelines, and exercising regularly.
One of the ways the AHA is marking National Heart Month is by holding a Wear Red Day this upcoming Friday, February 6th.
We are encouraging local organizations, individuals to wear red, buildings to go red, and just to spread the word about women's heart health and National Wear Red Day as a whole.
To learn more about cardiovascular disease and Heart Month, you can visit www.heart.org. For KSTV News, I'm Tatum Lawrence.
Thank you, Tatum. Police are still investigating an armed robbery in Akron. A teen was trying to meet for a Facebook Marketplace deal to sell a sweatshirt last night. The 17-year-old was in his vehicle when 3 to 4 masked suspects approached him. According to police records, they waved a gun and took money and the victim's cell phone, while another suspect opened the passenger door and stole the hoodie. The masked suspects then scattered and ran from the area.
After 18 years on the run, U.S. Marshals captured Craig Scalone, a Northern Ohio fugitive. Officials say Scalone fled from his supervised release in 2007 and was arrested Monday in Miami, Florida. The fugitive pleaded guilty in 2001 to charges of mail fraud, interstate transportation of stolen property, and money laundering after stealing nearly $700,000 from clients. Scalone was taken into custody after being found working as a personal trainer and hotel manager in Miami under a fake name.
An hours-long domestic standoff ended early this morning with a man in custody. A SWAT team and police were called to a home on Cleveland's west side in the West Boulevard neighborhood. 3.5 hours after the arrival of law enforcement, officers went into the home and removed the man in handcuffs. His name has not been released. Cleveland police said a woman and child inside the home managed to escape safely for the standoff.
Good evening, Flashers. Welcome to the first Tuesday weather forecast. I'm Casey, and I will be your weather anchor for the rest of the semester on Tuesdays. So let's get into it. Let's look at the map for Ohio right now. Up in Toledo, it's I don't think that's right, but probably we're looking at about 20 degrees around the whole nation or Ohio right now. Down south it's probably a little warmer and okay. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. So as we're looking right now in Kent right now, we're sitting at about a little bit under, of what the high was today with about 24 degrees. Very minimum chances of snow right now and for the rest of the night. And as we go to 9, climbing down to 21 degrees. And as we get towards to midnight, we'll be in higher teens, 18 degrees, 13% chance of snow, so we will not be seeing any of that tonight. And as we're looking at about today, we got to a high of 27 degrees. Maybe that's a little bit sneak peek of what Buckeye Chuck told us spring was coming early, and very little bit of wind today, only got to 7 miles per hour and 74% humidity. And that's all I have for this block. Stay tuned for my next block to see the forecast for the rest of the week. Back to the desk, you guys.
U.S. District Judge in a race postponed indefinitely Homeland and Security Secretary Kristi Noem's termination of temporary protected status for Haitians. The designation given to immigrants from dangerous and unstable countries was set to expire today. This means that the judge's decision made it possible for immigrants from Haiti who came to the U.S. under protected status to stay in the U.S. legally and indefinitely. Now, the Trump administration affirmed that it would appeal this decision to the highest court.
The government shutdown is over with a sweeping spending bill passed by the House and signed by President Trump. The legislation package will ensure funding for a full year for the federal government through the end of September. The lone exception being the Department of Homeland Security, Democrats putting a 2-week leash on the department and insisting on charges for federal agents who fatally shot 2 Americans in Minneapolis.
The U.S. House Democrats and leaders of several caucuses rallied this morning outside the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement headquarters in Washington, D.C. Protesters demanded the resignation, firing, or impeachment of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. The rally Noem was being blamed for criticizing for ICE aggressive actions, the use of warrantless arrest, officers who were masked or unidentifiable, and the immigration operation in Minnesota.
With the escalated tensions surrounding ICE agents, a Winter Olympics venue is removing the word ICE from its name. U.S. skating, hockey, and speed skating created a hospitality space in the Milan Hotel for athletes and their families, originally named the Ice House, but is now changed to the Winter House. The change comes with the Trump administration's plans to send ICE agents to Italy to help with the security, and U.S. and Italian protests for their presence in Milan.
Ukraine's Minister of Energy, Denis Shmyhal, shared on social media today a video of him and NATO's Secretary General Mike Rutte visiting a power station in Kyiv. Shmyhal claims in the post that the civilian heat supply facility was hit by Russia overnight and affirmed the crime should be assessed.
In the White House, President Trump hosted Colombian President Gustavo Petro. The meeting was Trump's first sit-down with a South American head of state since the U.S. captured then-President Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela 1 month ago. The meeting was expected to discuss Venezuela, its border with Colombia, oil, and energy. Officials familiar with the planning said they would discuss guaranteeing independence for Colombia's upcoming presidential elections.
Despite many new requests from Tehran, the White House affirmed this Tuesday that talks between the U.S. and Iran will continue this week. Tehran is requesting changes on the location, exclusion of regional partners, and a limit on discussion regarding its nuclear program. As tensions keep increasing, with just today, 2 Iranian gunboats threatened a U.S. chemical tanker. Now, the administration affirmed that their priority remains diplomacy. However, military strikes are open.
1 month since U.S. captured Nicolas Maduro, a student-run movement in Venezuela demands the release of all political prisoners. The university's ongoing protests led to a visit from the acting president, Delcy Rodriguez, who is also an alumna of the university. Students publicly challenged her to demand the release of political prisoners.
If you thought flu season was over, think again.
We're actually seeing activity come back.
Dr. Caitlin Rivers with Johns Hopkins Bloomberg
noticed a rise in sick days. The details on the lasting flu season this year.
Today's show's host, Savannah Gunther's mother's disappearance is now considered a crime. We have the details after the break.
If you love them enough to drive an hour to cheer them on as they get beat 11-0 in the rain, then surely you'll check nhtsa.gov/the-right seat to make sure they're correctly buckled in the back seat.
Throw that ball, Diane! Woo! You got this!
Considering an online pharmacy? Explore BeSafeRx to find useful information and resources to help you purchase medicines safely online. A safe online pharmacy requires a doctor's prescription, has an address in the United States, has a licensed pharmacist, and is licensed by a state pharmacy board. It's best to stay away from online pharmacies that don't meet these criteria. Discover more helpful tips and resources at BeSafeRx. Go to fda.gov/BeSafeRx.
Tomorrow's news leaders.
Today's top stories.
From an award-winning student newsroom.
This is Kent Stater TV.
Your community.
Your stories.
Welcome back. Experts are sharing a new study that men's heart disease risk begins to climb earlier than women, starting in their mid-30s. The long-term analysis followed over 5,000 people from young adulthood. Researchers found that while men and women have similar risks throughout their 20s, a gender gap emerges at age 35. By age 50, 50% of men had developed cardiovascular disease, reaching that mark nearly 7 years earlier than women. Experts advise both men and women to monitor their heart health in young adulthood and see a doctor regularly for blood pressure and cholesterol checks.
Flu activity ticked back up slightly in the U.S. with a small increase in infections caused by influenza B in addition to the other subvariants this season.
That's right, and Ivan Rodriguez has more on this second peak of infections.
If you thought flu season was over, think again.
We're actually seeing activity come back.
Dr. Caitlin Rivers with Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health says the country is seeing an increase in cases of flu B, primarily among children aged 5 through 17.
What we often see is that kids are the first to be affected by new trends, and then older age groups really start to see the effects. Flu B often becomes more common in the spring, so there's some of that going on, but I don't think it really explains the full rebound.
Rivers, who also writes about infectious disease trends in her Force of Infection Substack, says this pattern is similar to what the U.S. saw last year when flu climbed to a second peak in late February after initially falling. The recent winter storm across the country might also play a role.
I am hopeful, but not certain, that the severe winter weather that a lot of the country experienced over the last week will interrupt that expansion into other age groups, but we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Influenza B strains are a whole different family of viruses. Even if you've had the flu once this season, it's possible to get it again if you catch a different strain. The good news is this year's flu vaccine protects against 2 A strains and 1 B strain. So the shots should offer some protection against severe illness and hospitalization.
A majority of the deaths that we see from influenza are in older adults. So extra important if you are, say, over the age of 65, that you get your flu vaccine and that you're careful during flu season to protect yourself.
I'm Ivan Rodriguez reporting.
Health officials have confirmed a case of measles at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. This is the second measles case confirmed in Wisconsin just this year. The student was reportedly exposed during an international travel, and officials are unaware if he was fully vaccinated, but say they are working to identify anyone who might have been exposed. The student is recovering and lives off campus.
A common treatment for menopause symptoms is getting harder to find. Estrogen patches provide hormone replacement therapy, but manufacturing issues, fewer brands, and rising demand are causing shortages. The FDA also removed a warning label on the product last fall, leading to an increase in prescriptions. Some women are driving miles to find the patches in stock, and others are shelling out hundreds of dollars a month to switch to brands their insurance won't cover.
Informed and ahead of the storm, this is your KSTV weather.
Welcome back. Unfortunately, it looks like tomorrow and the rest of this week we'll be continuing to look at the gray sky that we saw today. But let's go ahead and look at tomorrow's forecast. So it will be continuing to be cloudy, but fortunately, there will be little winds, very calm throughout the day, only getting to about 8 miles per hour, and with a humidity of 82 degrees. So we are hitting a high that is warmer than today, so that is good. And then for the rest of the week, Tuesday, like tomorrow, slightly warmer. Wednesday, cloudy, and with a higher of 24 degrees, low of 7, and even lower chances of snow. And as we go further in, we will start to see a peak of sunshine on Friday, Saturday, but with that comes a 74% chance of snow. So on Thursday, make sure you bundle up, wear your gloves, hat, be prepared for that. And as we go to our weekend forecast, looking about back into the chilly temperatures with a low of 3 degrees, 14, but back up by Monday, we'll hit a high of 27 degrees. So be prepared for a little bit of a whirlwind, and this gives us a little bit of what to expect for February. And whether you have it, make sure to stay warm and keep up with future forecasts here at Kent Stater TV. For KSTV, I'm Casey Baylog.
There's a new family member of an endangered Asian elephant. So how you can participate in this adorable event.
May get traded before the Thursday deadline. We give you the details on your KSTV Sports Report next.
What do you think you're doing, Kevin?
Was just gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
Like hearing voices?
Like your text-to-emoji ratio?
Oh man, the selfies. Selfies, nailed it.
We all have warning signs that let us know that we're probably not okay to drive. Mine is pretending to be your subconscious.
Craig, come on man, let's split a ride home.
I don't want to talk about it.
I don't want to talk about it.
Families don't have to talk about everything, but they should talk about how to plan for an emergency. Get tips and resources to make your family's emergency plan.
First, they said cigarettes were safe. We know how that turned out. Now, they say they didn't market e-cigarettes to teens? Fact, more than 1 in 4 high school students are vaping, and 80% say their first e-cigarette was flavored. Vaping is harmful to developing brains. The reason we think vaping is safe? Marketing. Same lies, different day. Tell Big Vape to quit lying.
I don't remember how it started.
Go to that.
Our back and forth. It always came back.
Dad!
You probably don't remember what you told me,
That was perfect.
but I heard every word.
Welcome back. If you are a soccer fan just like me, you are in luck, as several 2028 Olympic soccer matches are set to be played in Columbus.
Which is so exciting, and especially because this is the first time an Olympic game is being held in Ohio, even though the United States has hosted it 8 times.
Right. The Summer 2028 Olympic is being hosted in LA, but several other tournaments will be held across multiple cities. But for more stories in sports world, we turn to our sports correspondent, Evan Schofield. Hi, Evan.
That's right, guys. I personally am super excited for the Olympics coming to the home state, especially so close to us, so we'll be monitoring that as we go. But there are other sports to cover, starting off with the Kent State wrestling team, so let's keep it here on campus and head to the mat. Now, Kent State wrestler Ethan Barr has earned the MAC West Divisional Player of the Week honor, being the second consecutive Flash to notch this title. This comes after his stellar performance last weekend against LIU and Clarion. He gave the Flashes 11 team points against both LIU and Clarion. When facing LIU's Grayson Cadlow-Sidler, he got a fall in 29 seconds. His dominance has earned him a 20-9 record so far this season, and that may continue as Ohio University comes to town this Friday. Heading over to the court, the visiting Kent State men's basketball team will look to have a bounce-back game against Toledo tonight at 7 after a tough loss to Akron. The Flashes have to regroup and stay dominant down the stretch. The Flashes also have an extensive history with the Bobcats when playing each other, and this game will be no different. Look for Federico Gillespie and Morgan Safford to put up major points to extend Kent's win streak against the Bobcats to 5. Catch the game on ESPN+. Taking you now from the collegiates to the pros. We're going to take you to the home of the Red Raiders. That's Jalen Petty welcoming us there. 11-ranked Kansas coming to town. We're actually going to start with Petty. Left open. He's going to drop in an easy 3 there. Texas Tech's going to have the 13-10 lead. 3 minutes later, and how about Lawan Watts? Welcome to the party. Jump shot, round 3 defenders. Texas Tech going to take the lead back now. A few plays later, Petty and Watts are going to play a little catch. You can have the ball. You can have the ball. Dominance on the jumper there. A 5-point lead now. This will be Melvin Council to Flory Badunga, outpowering everyone on Kansas, and you cannot beat that whatsoever. Kansas now up 31-26, heading you to the second half. Watts running out of time. Quick thinking, Donovan Atwell for the 3, 38-45. Now time's ticking. Watts driving a jumper for the 2, and he had 19 points on the night. He had a really good night. Red Raiders lead now by 9. It's a tie game. It all comes down to this. Darren Peterson, what do you got? He's got the game-winning 3. There will be no more points scored, and the Red Raiders cannot catch up to Kansas. Kansas goes on the road, takes down Texas Tech. They improve to 17-5. Now heading over now to the NBA. The trade deadline is this Thursday. There's a lot to go over, but today we'll stick with Milwaukee Bucks forward Giannis Antetokounmpo, who has been the headliner for trade rumors. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been incredibly interested in the past day, and ESPN sources confirm they may be working on a deal to get either Giannis or James Harden from the LA Clippers. As the deadline approaches, the Heat, Timberwolves, and Warriors are favorites to land Giannis. We'll continue to monitor the details as the week moves ahead, especially with the Darius Garland news, but that is all the sports I have for you today. For more, check out the Kent Stater on all socials and tune into Sports Corner, which had its season debut last night. For KSTV, I'm Evan Schofield.
A 100-year-old volunteer. Hear about the World War II veteran delivering for Meals on Wheels.
In the time it takes to play a new album, you can get answers to deep questions like, were all those clubs in your 20s really such a bad thing? Hey, no judgment, but it's possible concerts weren't music to your ears.
1 in 4 people over 20 now have signs of noise-induced hearing loss. So let's see a hearing professional and get those ears checked.
Answers are good. Your moves? Not bad.
As part of its public health mission, the scientists and staff at FDA work to protect the American public by getting the accurate, science-based information they need to use medications wisely.
Put the keys down, Kevin.
But I'm gonna drive home.
There are several warning signs present that you shouldn't be driving.
I've taken 25 selfies in the last 10 minutes.
26.
Yep, I'm definitely gonna call a ride home.
At Kent State University, we want all students to develop a global perspective. And with more than 200 study abroad programs in 60 countries, there are many opportunities. One is found in the Central African country of Rwanda, where students connect with survivors of the 1994 genocide.
We're learning about the reconciliation process. Rwanda sort of took a very community-based approach to how they recovered.
In January, a group of Kent State student athletes traveled to Rwanda, where they organized a soccer camp for children.
While we were there, we got to work with kids and spread our knowledge about sports.
And we brought shoes, cleats, soccer balls for everybody.
It was a transformational experience.
The people of Rwanda were full of joy. They were also full of excitement and life.
I think the big thing that I'm going to take home personally from the experience is perspective. There's not just one way to do things.
This was unlike any other academic experience I've ever had.
For the first time in about 25 years, we have a new member of an endangered Asian elephant. The adorable baby elephant was born this Monday at the Smithsonian National Zoo after a 21-month pregnancy. For the next few months or so, the new addition will be spending time bonding with the mother, and therefore the public will not be able to see them. But you can be involved, as the zoo wants the public to help with her name through voting via donations.
Another great cause, Meals on Wheels is a program delivering meals to individuals at home who aren't able to prep their own meals, but one volunteer in Denver, Colorado models the commitment to service in the community. Mel Faze is 100 years old and a volunteer for more than 40 years. This World War II veteran is often joined by his 2 sons, John and Jim, to help make deliveries. The trio says they have no plans to slow down. And that will wrap up our time today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Sydney Brown.
And I'm Sophia Lena. Oh,
Will spend 15 minutes watching online videos like this one.
Brushing for 2 minutes now can save your child from severe tooth pain later. 2 minutes, twice a day. They have the time.
Can you help me?
got there?
Will you help my mom?